Randall, man, first of all, I'm so glad you made this post. I've got two things, and clearly I'm ADHD as well. But there's two things that I'm actively working on being able to cope with, tolerate, adapt to. The first is being interrupted, and most people believe that it's rude to interrupt a person. That's kind of like an overlying belief. But what happens with me is, first, by the time I've gotten to the point where I'm articulating a thought, I've already thought about multiple ways I want to say it. And so as it's coming out of my mouth when I'm interrupted, it's frustrating because yes, you've interrupted my train of thought and that thing that that sentence I had already wrote in my head, but it's more likely I'm gonna have to stop and respond to what you're saying versus finishing my point. And man, I'm having the hardest time dealing with that. Maybe age is a factor in that. I'm 42, and I do I try so hard to be concise when I talk. I'm very conscious of repeating myself and things like that. So no kidding, by the time those words are coming out of my mouth, I've you know what I mean? It's the best way that I can possibly present it to you at that point. The other thing, that I'm actively working on is, first of all, let me give you props for seeing the, what do you call it? The thoughts trail. I have a term for that too. And by the way, I'm going to use thoughts trail, but I call it the chain of thoughts that led me to that question. Let's say in a scenario, I send a text message to someone and their response is, where did that question come from? Right? So these days, I have to ask a person to be sure, do you really want to know the chain of thoughts that got me to that question? And in some cases, depending on who I'm speaking with, like for example, I have a friend who's notoriously terrible for answering questions. But if it's her, I kind of hold my answer hostage, right? I hold my response hostage until she answers the question first. Like I asked you what your favorite color was, and you asked me, where'd that question come from? No. Okay, tell me your favorite color first. And then I'll go through the chain of thoughts that got me to asking you this question at 9:30 a.m. on a Monday when we hadn't talked since last Wednesday. So, that's something I'm working on. I haven't figured out really good coping practices for that. And right now I just kind of, I've made it a practice to ask a person just to like, are you sure you want to know all of those thoughts? And some of my friends are entertained, you know, uh, but I haven't figured out a fix for that one. And the most extreme case is I would just like force them to answer my question first. And I promise them after I follow up with the, with the, with the, the trail of, the thoughts trail. That's really good, by the way. Thanks for this post again, man.